It's the best of Mike Bossy on OTR.
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
Welcome to the best of OTR. We here at OTR have had some of the biggest names in the NHL over the past year, but we rarely have had such a huge group of names on one panel. Today on the best of OTR, we have former 70-goal man Bernie Nicholls, six-time Stanley Cup champion Glenn Anderson, but we start off by going up front with one of the best goal scorers in NHL history, Mike Bossy. Enjoy. Up front with Mike Bossy. Great to see you.
How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Very good, thank you.
Sens Devils game one tonight. Do you agree that the Senators in the past lacked toughness, and do you think they have it now?
I think they lack maturity and they lack knowing how to win. And I think that they've developed that. I think they've become a team, and they were awesome against Pittsburgh. I'm looking forward to see what team is coming
But what makes you think they didn't know how to win and then they learned it? Because they haven't won since last year when they lost in 5 to the Sabres.
Well, they've had some changes in their lineup. They've had some changes in personnel, and I really think just by going by what they've done against Pittsburgh that they have a team that knows how to go out there. They've put the right pieces together, I think, and their goalie has been strong. Has been.
You're a guy who was never a huge proponent of a certain style of the game, but are you willing to admit that the Ottawa Senators lacked toughness and grit?
I'm a proponent of toughness and grit. We had it with the Islanders, and that's the only way that you win, especially in a Stanley Cup.
And that's the only way a guy
series.
can do what you did, right? You need guys around you to protect you.
Well, you need guys around that are going to keep people from abusing you. I don't like to use the word protect, because if there's one thing that I always told Clark Gillies, I said, hey, I don't want you coming in unless someone's trying to kill me. And so Clarkie would come in when that happened, especially in certain situations. But you need toughness, you need grit, and you need the willingness to sacrifice for 4 series in a row. And that's where I think Ottawa's been lacking in the last couple of years.
A guy like Danny Heatley, he's a pure scorer. Well, you could see a comparison between you and Danny Heatley, maybe.
He's a
the
great
job
player.
that he's supposed to do. Has the game evolved enough back to where it maybe was in the old days that a guy like that can really excel?
Absolutely. I don't see why he can't excel. You know, with the no hooking, the no holding, you know, it gives players opportunity to really get themselves into the open. The only thing that I know about hockey today is that you have to be real quick. If you get a chance,
which is the way it should be, right?
Well, exactly. If you got a chance, you got to take it, and you got to be willing to get in there and get into the holes and find the holes.
You described your Islander team, and you said that you had guys there who were there to. You didn't like the term protection. What was the term you used?
They were there to abuse. They were there to
prevent abuse. Do you like the way the Anaheim Mighty Ducks are set up? Because they got a collection of big, strong guys who there, I believe, to protect their scorers from being abused.
You know, there's no fighting in the league anymore, hardly any at all.
Except for Anaheim.
Except for Anaheim, except for Calgary and Detroit in that series. You need an all-around team. You need every kind of player on a team. You need the penalty killers. You need the tough guys. You need the guys. You need guys who are going to sacrifice for other guys on the team. So if it comes down to a point where someone's abusing someone, you absolutely need someone to step in. And I'm not saying step in to kill the other guy, but I mean step in just to let the other team know that, hey, there are guys that won't let that happen.
So we've got guys out there in the other room, and I'm thinking to put together a little line here on the panel. Tell me if this works for you. I'm thinking back to 85-86. That's the standard. You had 61 goals. We'll put Glenn Anderson on your left side. He had 54. And how about big Bernie Nicholls centering your line? He had 97 points that year. Does that work?
That's a lot of goals.
That's a lot of goals. It's a pretty good line. And you can see all these guys together because the panel's up next. And later when Mike returns for next question, he'll respond to this.
Mike Bossy was a pussy, and simple as that.
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg, brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar.
Mike Bossy was a pussy, and simple as that.
I can still remember those words from Tiger Williams, our second month back in 1997, and still 1,900 shows later, the standard by which stupid comments are measured. That's it. Mike Bossy.
There you go.
And you're too much of a gentleman to say anything about him, aren't you? Or too scared, right?
You might be playing this
A little bit of both.
As I said before, maybe the greatest pure scorer in the history of the game. Nice to see you, and looking good.
Thank you.
Same thing for you, Glenn Anderson. I mean, you don't wear any rings except for your wedding ring, right? You could have 6 Stanley Cup rings, one of the quickest players ever. Nice to see you, man.
Great to be here.
Welcome to the show, Bernie Nicholls, 3-time All-Star, and of course you had that massive 70-goal season, and a great guy. Good to see you back on OTR.
Thanks, Mike.
And Kerry Goulet, one of our All-Stars, and you just happen to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame International Division. Good to see you as well.
Great to be here with a great panel.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
I give out tickets at the hall for admissions.
With an accent.
Exactly. I know, I like you. Hey,
So now that Lou Lamoriello has said they can play, they will. He's like the guy at the Indy with the big green flag. It doesn't start till he says so. So the Sens and Devils tonight in the Swamp. Every year the Sens say they are different, that they've learned from the past failures, and every year, for 9 now, they've been the same team. How does a team like Ottawa get rid of the negativity, the history that says when the going gets tough, we go home?
Win one time. Once they win, then they'll stop talking about it.
That's what it's all about. We won. We lost in '78. We lost in '79, and everyone was calling us chokers, the Islander team, and we won in '80, and no one was calling us chokers.
I think if you look at the Ottawa Senators, they've had that distinction over the last couple of years doing that. This year, everybody after Game 2 was also saying, "Hold it, the Senators are in trouble."
Here we go
and
again.
they came back and played an unbelievable game in Pittsburgh. And I was fortunate. I saw the game in Ottawa. It was Gary Roberts. He was outstanding in Ottawa in this game too. He won that game.
Personally, I think you have to lose before you can win.
Absolutely.
So
They're in great shape. They're going to go to the biggest
that's
game.
right.
Yeah, but hold on. Yeah,
But Glenn's right. We lost. Edmonton lost before they won. We lost before we won, and you have to go through that process. You have
so why
to
didn't they win last year, Mike? Because 2 years ago they lost, and 3 years ago they lost, and 4 years ago they lost. They should have been situated last year to beat the Buffalo
Michael, that's
Sabres.
all about goaltending. I think if you read about the Edmonton Oilers, that was one of the things that a lot of the guys said. They had to lose one time against you, and you certainly came back the next year and made it.
Well, we lost more than once. We lost in '81 also, too, that like early in our career. So
Right.
I think it's a process of every team and every player has to go through, so that once you've got this burning desire inside of you that you're never going to lose again, then you've reached that pinnacle.
Are
but
they
you've
at
got
that
to go
point?
through that
Do you
process.
see a difference in the Sens this year as opposed to last year and years before?
Absolutely. Their third, fourth lines are the difference right
And
now.
they got
They
goaltending,
played
too.
awesome.
Goaltending.
They played awesome against Pittsburgh in the last 2 or 3 games after they lost one, and it's about maturity. And if they don't win this year, then you're going to have to change.
They're gonna
I
change
think
that.
Alfredson has to go if they don't win, because you got to change
But
the
you know what
makeup of a
he's
team.
playing
right now,
He's
too.
playing great,
Really good.
but I mean, if they don't win, you're going to have to change.
Yeah, but you don't
something
win
on
with
it.
those guys. You win with your second, third,
You
fourth
do, but
liners.
goaltending,
That's-
because you saw
you're
last
absolutely
year.
right.
Hold on,
but
Chris.
the Gretzkys, the Messiers, the Andersons, you win with those. Those are your mainstays. You guys have to score. You need the whole
You didn't
ensemble.
win much
I
with
agree.
your third and fourth line, by the way. Glenn.
Kevin McClellan, his biggest goal
Yeah,
in his
that's
career
true.
was against you
Absolutely,
guys.
but
and
if
the one not to win.
Gretz and Mess and yourself and Grant didn't play exceptional hockey, you guys weren't going to.
How many times have you guys have played in the NHL
Well, you're
with
supposed
great
to. Your best
goaltenders?
players have to be your best players.
Exactly.
That's
And they are right now. You know, from goaltending out.
So
They're
as a
getting good
team,
goaltending.
as
So we're
a
all
team,
saying the
it's
same
good.
thing.
Okay, so let's talk about goaltending, because as a team, the only place you could legitimately say the New Jersey Devils have a big edge in would be in goal, and the history of their goal, not necessarily right now. If you are, and I want to take yourselves back to when you played, if you're lining up against that team, very sharp, turning your cell phone off to not make any noise while we're doing this, Mike Bossy, I'm going to call those still the best hands ever.
That's right.
It's Humpty Dumpty.
If you're playing against Marty Brodeur, how do you convince yourself you can beat him?
Well, you know, I was fortunate enough to, when Marty broke in, I played with him. He's phenomenal. I think everybody knows that, but it's like anybody. You got to beat him, and once you get beaten him, then you get some confidence, but that's all it takes. It takes a little confidence.
The other thing that I wanted to say earlier is that with Emery, for example, last year, you know, everybody's kind of doubting him and thought maybe he wouldn't come. He had a great season. He's come back with a lot of confidence, and I think that's going to be a big deal this year for Ottawa. If he can play with that confidence he is now, I'll tell you what, the Devils are in for a big one.
like any goalie, Marty's a great goaltender, Marty Brodeur, but any goaltender, the key is that you got to get in front of them, bother them, get traffic in front of them, get the point. Shots from bad angles, there's a lot of...
He never gets run.
You can't bother Marty.
He does get run.
Right?
He doesn't
You
get
can't
run as much
bother
as
him.
other guys, does he?
He's not that bad.
We were, in '94, we were in his face pretty good.
You were in his
kitchen.
crease and in his face, and that was allowed. All right?
Yeah.
It's the goal that double overtime to beat. You guys
Stephane Matteau?
can't do that.
Stephane Matteau?
Yeah.
Marty
That's
Brodeur
my ring I lost.
Marty Brodeur gets frustrated. He gets frustrated when you get in his crease and when you jostle him a bit. I saw him play enough this year to see that.
But they won't let you do that, Mike, now. You go near them and you get a penalty.
One of the Rangers just rolled over Miller last night. He got a penalty for it, but he still rolled over and actually punched him in the head as he was going over him.
But if you
if I was on the Senators, I'd be as motivated as any player in the National Hockey League right now playing against that guy, because everyone's saying that he's unbeatable. If you're a Heatley, if you're a Spezza, if you're any one of those Ottawa Senators, you can't wait to get on the ice to show everybody that, hey, we can beat this goal.
But if you're a defenseman for the Devils, you want to be protecting him because he's your money guy, and that's what they do. They keep those guys out of the crease as much as they can, more than other teams.
As we go to break, Bernie, what's going on with All Sports Marketing?
Well, we just signed a deal with a derivative company out of Chicago yesterday, so it's going to go worldwide. It's awesome.
So what is it going to go worldwide?
You can buy derivatives in sports teams. Instead of stock, it's derivatives.
Oh.
Same idea. It's legal, 100% legal.
Allsportsmarket.com. Go to that.
That's right.
And you guys are all involved in this Baycrest Hockey Challenge. Tell me about it.
Starts tonight. We actually have the draft party, and tomorrow at the York University, we've got 30 great players. Obviously, 3 of them here. We got Paul Coffey, Daryl Sittler, Doug.
Boreas
Salming's coming in. So it's going to be an unbelievable, and it's all for Alzheimer's. Stick it to Alzheimer's.
And Baycrest is an amazing place. My grandfather was there years ago, and that's actually where he passed away. They gave him a great cause. Terrific doing this. We're going to take a break and remind you, All-Stars, Hall of Famers with accents when we return. And later when Mike returns for next question, he's going to tell us how the heck Clark Gillies got in the Hall of Fame. And that's why they call Glenn Anderson a triple threat, right? As well as scorer, we know singer-songwriter. Wasn't that your work?
What was that?
Absolutely. And actually, I was pretty proud of that. That was pretty good.
Oh, that was pretty good. Mike, you're not equally as proud of that.
I don't even know what it was.
A little song I wrote in '93
You
for
wrote
our team.
it. All right. Good for you, man.
So,
Glenn can do everything.
That's what I said, triple threat. You don't even listen to what I'm saying, are you, Mike Bossy?
amazing.
All right, the Sabres quietly listened to the tune, I think you could say, that Sean Avery was singing, and then shoved it someplace appropriate. Avery, non-factor last night. -3 as Buffalo schooled the Rangers in fast break hockey. If you're Avery's teammates now, do you tell them, hey, the girlfriend can stay, but the attitude's got to go?
I'm thinking one of the players should have maybe told him quietly to zip it in the paper before the game. But I hear he's a pretty good, teammate in the dressing room, but I don't think he should be saying that in the paper.
What happens in the room is in the room. You got to know his character and what he brings to the game, and the team is the team, and you don't have
I agree with you.
As far as what
he
you
said.
you don't lead.
No.
You don't put up ammunition for the other team to put up articles in the dressing room,
Oh, that
because
was
I'm
pinned
feeding
up
off
for
of that
sure.
if I'm the other side.
And that's the
or
first
if the
rule
coach
of
says
hockey.
something like that too.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you stay
That's the
away from,
first
but
rule of
still.
hockey.
And that's what I meant.
You don't fuel it up
Is it a
before the
player?
series gets
Yeah.
started. You try to
He's
sneak
great in
under
the
the
dressing
radar
room.
and then let it build on its own.
Is it a
That's
player
right.
to go and tell him? Maybe one of the coaches just taking him
You know,
aside
I
and say,
Shanahan
listen,
should have
hey,
just tapped him on the shoulder and said,
I don't know that guy. I don't know Avery enough to know if he listens to anybody to start off
no,
with.
but if you do it, then deliver. The unfortunate part, he
Sure.
did it and didn't deliver.
Plus, he's changing his attitude from what he was from before. I mean,
playing
from the day when
unbelievable.
he was
he's
with
playing
roommates
good.
with Brett Hall.
absolutely.
I mean,
That
then he was with
push-ups on the
Shanny.
ice.
Shanny's brought him a long way. I mean,
The
Shanny's
only
got
thing
him
I
under
can
his
say
wing in
about
New York.
Avery-
There's no problem
Well,
there.
he should have said, hey, don't be putting that in the paper. You know what I mean?
Maybe a
Because it's
couple
going to be
games
pinned
into
up.
it, you can go
all
I
over.
mean, the New York media feeds on this
Yeah, but they didn't
stuff.
put those
you
words in
gotta
his
know,
mouth.
You
Yeah.
gotta
Hold on,
just
but he
come on,
did
you're
not
just
know
gonna
that.
fly
Yeah.
with that
I know,
stuff.
but he, I mean, this was all his doing. This wasn't the media coaxing it out of him. He said, I'm going to hit them, I'm going to hurt them, and then I'm going to hurt them
yeah.
more, and don't tell me we can't stop the score. So, like, he threw it out there,
Sometimes
right?
they do that, though, to deflect it and bring it onto him rather than going
No.
after Yang.
I don't think he can handle it because he didn't handle it very good.
No,
No,
I
not
thought it was
at all.
great because of the fact that he made the other team think about him. Which now the coach has to go into their dressing room and say, listen, this guy's not an issue. Don't worry about what he's saying.
work out.
Avoid what's
But
going on.
Glenn
And don't go in
Glenn
there.
Anderson.
You know, but a
thought it
coach
was
has got to
great.
do that.
You thought it was great because he worked
He
for
did
the
his job.
Rangers. If it would have been an Islander who said it, I would have said, oh, it was great that he said it. You know darn well that it's the first rule of hockey. You don't give the other team anything that'll motivate them.
That was a double-edged sword. From one end, you don't say that. You don't try to provoke your other teammates,
You do your
other
job-
team
you
before
do
you even
your
start
stuff on
playing
the
them.
ice. That's where you do it.
Exactly. But then on the other side, he's got the other team and the other coach going, all right, now listen, this guy's doing this, but don't worry about him. Here's what we've got to
Yeah,
do.
but
Just stick
honestly-
to our game
But
plan. And
honestly,
every
Glenn,
conversation that
honestly,
they had
I don't think,
was that
I
they don't worry
think,
about this guy.
I don't think that Sean Avery worries anybody, okay?
be
Because he
honest
goes out there, he doesn't...
I don't know. What did he do to Kovalchuk in the
doesn't-
last series against Atlanta? Here's your top goal scorer, and this guy's challenged him to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, are you crazy? He's the goal scorer. That's
Yeah.
like you going after
But he's a
Semenko.
young
how many
kid.
guys
That's
are-
different.
Hello?
He's
I
a
know
young
that
kid. The other
because-
team's a little more experienced, and the other team's not going
And
to
how
fall
much
for
do
it.
you guys
But he did.
listen to
Right.
And he got
realistic
that guy
guy?
off his game, and that's his
Absolutely.
job. His job is to get
look,
the other guys
yeah.
off
when
off their game,
Kovalchuk
and
was-
he's doing his
Buffalo's
job.
too experienced for that.
You tell me I talk all the time. These guys just won't stop. Kovalchuk challenged him when the series was over, and the series was done.
But
He
He
didn't
did-
get him off his
he
game
did-
right.
It's never
Well, yeah,
over.
but he-
The whole time.
It's 5
But
to
he's
2 in the
inexperienced.
fourth game, and you're losing. The series is over, man.
Guys, it's the first time he's been in the playoffs, so you got to
Yeah.
cut him a little bit of slack. How many times do you guys actually listen to any of the chirping anyways, if you weren't chirping yourself?
Why does it work? Why does it work? Like, why would he possibly get under the skin of Atlanta? Why can't guys sort of turn the other cheek and say, who cares what you say or the little jab you give me? Skate
Immature
away.
team. No, that's an
That's
immature
right.
team. I mean,
Yes.
Buffalo went to the semifinals
Yeah.
the year before.
It's not
They've
gonna
gone
work
through the
against
route.
them.
You could see how
That's a
poised
Tikkanen,
they
right?
are.
That's a
They just
Tikkanen.
turn the way, like
That's
any
a Tikkanen.
team
Parallel
that's been
with
there.
Essa?
Or,
I
has
can't
got
shut
that
him up
behind
either,
them.
But
man.
he-
I love that.
he
Who wants to
didn't
shut
yap.
up against?
That's
One
the
at a time.
yap.
Hold
He
on,
was
one
just
at a
in
time.
front of you all the time.
Sorry, say that again.
That's the didn't yap. He was in the papers all the time. He was just in your face yapping to you and getting under your skin that way. And, he did
And
a
you
good
understood
job.
him?
No, you didn't.
I was his roommate, and I still
That's
didn't
Tikkanen?
understand it.
That's
He was
what made him
speaking his
so
own
intimidating.
language.
No,
It
he
was
was funny.
Tikkanese, and it was a funny.
Yeah.
Like, how do you understand the
He was
guy?
swearing at
So
you in
Avery's
Finnish,
probably the
wasn't he?
same
Or
way.
was it Swedish? I'm not
Who
sure.
couldn't handle it? Does any name come to mind? You say, man, that guy let guys get under his skin. Who do you-
Kovalchuk.
Kovalchuk? Well,
That's
that's
it.
in today's.
it.
But when you played, who was there? You went, man, you gotta just ignore a guy.
I know,
Yeah, I
Bernie, you shot a puck at me. There.
See, I never did, and to this day he accused me of that. He was coming at me, and I acted like I was going to shoot it at him, and I pulled it and almost took one of my teammates' heads off, but I didn't shoot it at him, and I hope he knows that.
You disagree with that?
Well, you know, when it's coming at your head and you got to duck out of the way, usually you think the guy's shooting at your head.
I once knocked Glenn's hockey stick right clear into the stands in Edmonton. He was a bug to play against.
Was he?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah,
was.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that was somebody else you guys
Somewhat
think of.
dirty a
You
little
guys,
bit.
you're
A
the one
little
who knocked my
bit
stick
dirty,
into the
a little bit
stands, and I'm watching
Yeah.
it go up into the 12th row, and I'm going, and they've dropped the puck, and the play goes on, and I'm standing there without a stick.
Where did you pull the stick out of, maybe?
Yeah, I had to pull it out of
Or
my
he whacked you
equipment to put
somewhere.
it-
Yeah.
Did he give you a tough time?
Glenn always,
No.
especially when the
Yeah,
referees
Glenn was a
weren't
pain.
watching.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Glenn was.
When he was younger?
The Oilers back then
They
were
were all
a great
chippy.
hockey
Yeah.
team, but they were chippy.
Oh,
They were chippy.
absolutely.
We're out of time. I got to say, this was amazing. Take a look at the Baycrest website.
And so were the Islanders, though. So
You're not listening to me either. Bernie, you're listening to me, though,
Sorry.
for sure.
Yes, I am, Mike.
And you're going to come back soon. Great seeing you. Everyone looks
Thank
great.
you.
It's a thrill to have you guys in the set, and it's a thrill for me to talk to you. And I bet for people at home as well. As we go to break, you'll stick around for next question. And here's a question you're going to have to answer, Mr. Mike Bossy. It goes like this. You were one of the best goal scorers ever, but who's one goalie who always had your number? Hold on to that thought. You'll answer when we return.
Fire away. You're going to get stepped on and kicked. Holy cow, Mike. Next question.
He caught me off guard in that one.
This is the next question.
Some familiar faces with the New York Islanders, and from your past, you guys enjoy doing this. You ready to do next question?
This is where you ask me the silly questions.
No, actually, this is where you give the silly answers, Mike
that's
Bossy. The questions
quite
are always good. How many right-wingers do you remember were drafted ahead of you, Hall of Famer, in 1977?
Far too many.
6.
There you
The
go.
Leafs took Trevor Johansson, or John Anderson and Trevor Johansson, ahead of you. How did that work out for them?
Obviously not very well.
What's the most number of smokes you ever had between periods of a hockey game?
I'd say probably 2,
Probably
maybe 3.
Maybe overtime.
Yeah.
Who's one goalie who always had your number?
I averaged 57 goals a year, not very many.
Give me one word to describe Charles Wong.
Very passionate.
Ever been to his house?
No.
Something to look forward to.
There you go.
Give me one word to describe Tiger Williams. Use any word you like.
Jeez, that's a real tough one. I'll pass on that one.
This is your chance.
Well, he's still alive.
I will protect you. Clark Gillies will protect you. Nystrom will protect you.
I can't think of the right word.
How often would Billy Smith slash at teammates' ankles in practice?
Every other practice.
How did you guys lose 8-1 in the Canada Cup in '81 to the Soviets?
Bad goaltending.
In '82, Clark Gillies and Bob Nystrom did a fashion layout for Penthouse magazine. How come you didn't get involved in that?
I never even knew that they did it, so...
See, that's why you come to a show like this.
Absolutely.
I know he's your buddy, but should Clark Gillies be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Only 319 goals.
But they were 319 great goals.
How about Bob Pulford? Does he belong?
My brother thinks he does.
Well, your brother's not here, is he? Who shows up for work more with the Islanders in the office? You or Brian Trottier?
Me.
Is Alexei Yashin underpaid?
No, but he's not overpaid either.
Should shots to the head be illegal? That clean shot, shoulder to the head.
I think it would be too hard to tell if it was deliberate or not.
When are the Islanders going to bring back the Captain Highliner uniforms? You're in management now.
I don't think ever.
And I can tell you, we're going to bring you back to do this show first chance we get. Thanks for doing it.
You're welcome.
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg, brought to you by the K.